In this video, I'm going to be sharing my first impressions with the Canon R8. I've got the Canon R8 recording right here, alongside my Canon EOS M6 Mark II. And essentially what I want to share are some first impressions. First thing, which I feel like I'm getting, the impression that I'm getting, the image that you see right now is on the Canon EOS M6 Mark II. This is essentially become my standard streaming camera, and I'm probably going to maintain that it remains my standard streaming camera. But now one thing that I want you to notice is the window. I have the window in the background, and one of the challenges of dealing with a window in the background is that you can't see anything outside, right? It's always blown out. It's a decent scenery, but you'll never see it because it's got some trees, it's got some apartments in the background, but you'll never see it. There is a feature called Log, which is called Canon Log. And when you enable it, this is what it looks like. Now, if I step away, right, you will see it right there in the background, the environment, whereas on the Canon M6 Mark II, you would not have seen it ever, right? And so one of the things that it would allow me to do is if I even want to get a deeper, a more deep focus, then, that's something that would enable me to do that. So this is one of the perks that I genuinely appreciate about Canon Log. You get 10-bit color and you get a greater level of dynamic range. Now, if I were to disable that, right, if I were to go back to, this is currently in Canon R8, I'm going to go ahead and change that up right now. So I'm going to cut recording on this guy. And then if I go to menu, so video menu, page 4, Canon Log settings, C-Log 3, from there, now one of the things I did was I maintained the cinema gamut, which gives me the greatest color space, and the LUT that the Canon has officially to bring it down to the Rec 709 works great. But if I were to turn this off, right, and then I go back to the regular scene, you'll notice it looks almost exactly like it does on the M6 Mark II, right? And that's because it's using, now one thing that's really interesting is that I'm getting seemingly more contrasty image. They're both on neutral picture profile with the sharpness turned all the way down, the contrast turned all the way down, but I'm seemingly getting a more punchy image on the Canon R8, which is interesting. I like it. It's definitely clearer. I don't know why that is, so if anybody has an answer to that, that would be much appreciated. That was one of the first things that I noticed with relation to the Canon R8. Now, the second thing that struck me is that when it comes to the use of or adapting lenses, and just for context, what I have on the Canon R8 is I have I have this regular pass-through filter, which is essentially a Viltrox Canon EF to EOS R adapter. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to adapt EF lenses. Now, what am I using on the Canon R8 right now? So if I go ahead and cut that recording over there, I have also a speed booster. Now, this is a focal reducer speed booster also from Viltrox. If I put a Canon lens or a Sigma lens that's designed for crop sensor cameras, this is the Sigma 30mm f1.4. Now, the thing is, if I just put it on as a pass-through, what happens is it automatically, and I'll show you. So now as I mount this on, you'll notice it's got a significantly tighter field of view. Why is that? Well, part of it is because Canon forces you into the movie crop mode. Now, check this out. All right, so if I were to go into this menu, where's the movie? Yeah, see, movie cropping enabled, right? But I can't even change it. I don't even have the option to do that. Anything that's Canon or Sigma designed or intended for crop lenses, I don't have the option to remove the crop. Now, here's the interesting thing is, take a look at this. So if I exit out of the menu, right, you're seeing this right now, and you'll see all of the heads-up display. I'm going to mount a Canon lens. Take a look at this. So if we go to the menu, right, moving cropping actually is enabled right now. That's disabled. Boom, disabled. Now I can disable it, right? I have the option to be able to do that. Well, we're actually at 14 mil, so bump this in. Now we're at 20 millimeter. So here's the thing, 14mm in crop mode is about 20mm equivalent in full frame. Whereas now I'm in 20mm. Now you'll notice there's a little bit of vignetting on the edges, which is because this is designed for crop sensor lenses. I have a different lens here. Let's jump to, this is also another Tokina lens. In full frame mode, super wide angle lens, but yeah, I mean, this is essentially in full frame mode. Tokina lenses, and I guess some of the third party lenses, well, I don't have any other third party lenses. I have Tokina, Canon, and Sigma as third party crop sensor design lenses. But for whatever reason, I have the option and ability to go into full frame mode with a crop sensor lens. And the reason this is actually important, and it's good to know, is because one of the things that this camera has is something called digital IS with some enhanced mode, right? And so I get to crop in significantly. This is an interesting note to have. If you have Sigma lenses and you have Canon lenses that are made for crop sensor cameras, the camera is going to automatically go into crop mode. But here's the thing that keep in mind is that the quality of the image that you get with relation to rolling shutter in crop mode, the Canon R8's rolling shutter is really, really fast. So this is a comparison, the test I'm probably gonna do a little bit later, maybe in another video. But one of the things that you'll find is in full frame mode, in comparison to say the M6 Mark II, you get about 17 milliseconds rolling shutter, which is acceptable, right? And if I run it through gyro flow, for example, and reduce that rolling shutter, it's actually really good. But on the Canon R8, it's about the same in full frame mode, but if you go into crop sensor, then you get a pretty decent rolling shutter example. What is the stabilization like? Well, I'm going to give you a quick example, but I'll probably do another whole other video with relation to showcasing what the stabilization is like. How does that stabilization compare to something, say, I don't know, gyro flow, which I really appreciate. But I just want to give you a quick example of what this might look like. Now, look at how everything is, right? You don't see anything on the screen here. It's all blown out. The background is blown out. Let's cut this recording. Let's go to menu. And then we go to, let's do Canon Log settings, Canon Log on. Boom. Cine gamut. Boom. Right? A lot of that data. Now you can see my screen. This is amazing. I love the fact that I'm able to get a lot of dynamic range that I would normally not have gotten. Same thing, you can see the details in the background, right? In terms of behind the window. Again, something really, I genuinely really appreciate. And so this is one of the first things that kind of struck me, which I was just like, yo, might be worth the price of admission by itself. And so now one of the other things I want to kind of talk about, which also I guess you'll notice right off the bat, is with relation to just how the camera feels like. So this is the camera, right? This is what it looks like. What I love about this is just essentially the grip size. Now, normally my go-to lens, my favorite Pancake, the 40mm, I put on the Pancake lens and this thing becomes super tiny, super portable. The thing that has always been lacking for me on the M6 Mark II is this grip. This is one of the things I wish the M6 Mark II had. They don't have a viewfinder, which is great. I appreciate that. This one has the viewfinder. It just kind of sticks out. I don't use a viewfinder. I'm not the kind of person that brings the camera up to their eye to take video. And most of my use case is video. But the fact that this grip is here is great. I had actually considered getting, for myself, a Canon RP, specifically because of the way that the grip feels. Now, this is exactly the body of the Canon RP. The thing that kind of dissuaded me from the Canon RP is that it was geared towards and designed to be an excellent photo camera, but not necessarily a very good video camera with relation to maybe in 1080p, but I wanted something with a little bit more high res because I tend to prop heavily into my content. So if I'm shooting 1080p, that's fine. I can upscale to 4K, no issues. But that limits me with relation to being able to crop. And so, and that cropping comes in the form of either stabilization or just, me being able to fake multiple cameras. Genuinely wanted 4K, but just swapped on a 24mm just to kind of showcase what this looks like. So in summary, just the first impressions, I love the build, the way that it feels in the hand. With relation to crop lenses though, if you've got a Canon or a Sigma, then it's going to automatically go into crop mode, which might limit you in some ways. But if you need that field of view because you're going to use something like digital IS or gyroflow or something like that, you can always just get yourself one of these, which is a focal reducer, right? It's from this one specifically from Viltrox. Now the stabilization is cool, something that requires a little bit further exploration. My assumption and my feeling is that I'm still probably going to stick to gyroflow, but I guess when it comes to being in a pinch, then digital IS can definitely come in handy. The C-Log 3, I am appreciating that. The other thing I'm looking to do probably with later videos is I would be exploring obviously the ISO noise comparison. By itself, with relation to what does the ISO noise look like without any internal noise reduction done versus with some noise reduction done versus no noise reduction but neat video noise reduction in post. How is the comparison? Which is the best option? And also with relation to the image, how does it compare to the M6 Mark II in a low light setting in the way that somebody would practically use it? Let me know, do you have any questions, any explorations that you want to have? I've rented this camera in order to evaluate whether or not I want to make a purchase. I know some folks have talked about overheating. So in the few days that I've had it so far, I've been running around with it. The thing is, the way that I record, I'll record maybe 10 minutes at a time at most. So whether it's maybe recording a sparring match in jiu-jitsu or chasing my kid around or recording with something like this, I haven't experienced any overheating. But then again, I've only been shooting in 24 frames per second in 4K or 30 frames per second in 4K in high quality. I haven't tested out the 60p, and that's something I'm going to be doing this weekend. So hopefully it either showcases or debunks some of the feedback that people have had. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are and what you're looking forward to. I'll see you guys soon.